It's day 24, a little before 7. I stayed in that gap last night. No marauders, nice and quiet. In fact, silent. Not the prettiest place down there, but it did the job. And I was tired. The wind is coming up today for sure. I was glad to be down in a gap. That was my objective last night, was to be somewhere where I'd be protected from the wind if it did kick up. I don't know if it's just kicking up now, or maybe it was like this all night up here, because I've come up a couple hundred feet already. But day 24, these sunrises are just consistently amazing. You may get tired of them on video, but I can tell you in real life, they just, every day is great. Such a nice way to start the day. Just heading up to Max Patch, which was a popular area, I think, for a lot of people to camp. It's been shut down for a couple of years because it was just overused, and I think the resources were starting to suffer. So no camping up there, but it's the beginning of my day. I'm not camping anyway. Heck of a view. You can see why people want to wake up to that in the morning, can't you? It just keeps going. Wow. There's nothing I can do about the wind noise, I'm sorry. But 360-degree view from here. I mean, not too bad, but it's windy and chilly. But this is Max Patch, and one view all around the whole way. So that was 360 degrees. There's that sun up there. Onward. I'm just a few steps down from the summit, but the wind is so much lower here. Just get in the lee of the peak a bit. You can see the stream down there. Maybe you can see it. Maybe I zoom up a little. And the fields. Such a pretty morning. I have to say there's something very cool about having a place like this all to myself. No tourists up here yet this morning. The hiker bubble. A lot of people are still behind, you know, and just getting started. And even the bubble, if you will, that I'm in, I'm up usually a little bit earlier and like to get started. And so I've got this whole place, which is like this, you know, set of fields that must be a mile or two long, all to myself, and I love that. It's really cool. I think getting started in February for me was a really good plan, even though it's come with some cold weather and some things that were a little bit less easy than they might be a little bit later in the season. But a couple of things that are really positive. One is there's been great water, no problem finding it, and you know, the guides show some springs as unreliable, or you know, only in good water conditions, and so that's been great. The hostels are not full, which is really nice, or the motels, so I don't feel like I'm in a panic to book a room, knock on wood, and feel like I'm going to be able to get accommodations and resupply and everything, because most of the people are still further behind. But they're coming. It's now that it's March 1st was a big date. People will start. April 1st will be a big date. February 22nd was a big date, 2/22/22. So a lot of people apparently started that day. And I think as much as maybe 100 or 2 or even more starting in a single day. And you can imagine the pressure that puts on the hostels and the resources, even the resupply. So for me, starting early has been a really good thing, even though it was cold. I've been asked a couple of times about the trail guides and which one, it turns out there's 2, which ones I'm using. I'm using both the Guthook app on my phone, which is now known as Far Out, and I'm using the AWOL AT guide. And I think both are really useful. The Guthook app, it's really easy to just push the button and it locates you using your GPS. So it's very simple to see where are you, what's coming, what's your next landmark. Has a nice terrain or elevation map, decent, you know, kind of info about the resources and towns and stuff. The AWOL guide is more detailed. and has more information about the towns and about shuttle drivers, for example, things like this. But it doesn't it's not interactive. It doesn't locate you with GPS. It's a PDF, so you're just scrolling through it. You kind of have to look up what's the last landmark I saw or where am I going, and then read up from there. But because it has more detail, it's also very useful. So my recommendation is both. If you're going to do all this time on the trail, I think they're both worth having. So it's 8:50 in the morning, 10 before 9, and I just had my second breakfast because I couldn't wait any longer. I was starving. Definitely feeling some changes in my hunger. Getting really ravenous. My pants no longer fit. I got to buy new ones. Hopefully, if the outfitter has something appropriate in Hot Springs, because they're puckering up and binding under the hip belt of my pack, which is really uncomfortable. And they're like a potato sack. So they're 34s. I think I'm going down to a 32, which I never thought would happen in my lifetime. Anyway, we'll see. I have been all morning thinking about food. In Hot Springs, there's a diner that's supposed to be world class. And I'm envisioning French toast with fried eggs on top, with bacon and syrup, maybe a double helping. And I really want a chocolate milkshake too. And you know what? If I want it, I can have it because I'm still losing weight. So I'll be there tonight or tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm just coming down into Hot Springs, which I think is down there. I'm sure you can't see it, but all the air is full of smoke. I'm thinking there must be a forest fire, something going on, because the whole valley for miles is kind of blocked with smoke. I can barely see the other side. And I know it's a high fire risk period. There was a fire, I think, one day behind me on Trey Mountain in Georgia, and they were pulling hikers off or telling them to get off. Anyway, I hope it's controlled, but I have a feeling this is probably a forest fire. Hopefully they're able to control it soon. Anyway, heading into Hot Springs, which I decided to do when I was so hungry at second breakfast today. And actually have figured out after I had lunch, which was tuna and tortilla, that I was not nearly as bad off. So I'm thinking I'm not getting enough protein for breakfast. I had told my wife that the protein bars were probably not necessary, that I would use the Cliff Bars. But now I'm thinking maybe the Cliff Bars are full of carbohydrates that aren't sticking with me, because I really feel like I've been bonking about, late morning, like 11 o'clock or something. So decided to push ahead here into Hot Springs. I made that call when I was starving and I wanted to get some food. So that makes this a 24-mile day, 24 and a half when I get done, which is a very big day. So it'll be 2 20s in a row and a 25, which is probably not what I'm going to do too frequently, or 24. But yeah, feel good. So I'm tired. I'm ready to be done. But my destination looks like it's right down there. So I'm comfortably in my room here in Hot Springs and happy to be done with a very long day. I did 65 miles in 3 days, which is a lot, and I'm tired. But I had a great meal. That's what I just tried to put in there. Hopefully you saw a picture of it. And the body feels good. I've had some pain under my right shoulder in the back, which feels like a pinched nerve or something. There's no limited range of motion or anything, but I think it's just an inflammation back there. I took a couple of ibuprofen today, and it seemed to help. So I'm optimistic if I do that for a couple of days, maybe I can kind of knock that down. But either way, it's not debilitating. It's just uncomfortable. Definitely been aware that I'm losing weight quickly, maybe too much. So I'm going to have to try to figure out how to get some more calories, maybe some more protein early in the day in particular. That's my theory. And gonna work on that tomorrow and see if I can come up with some solutions. But all is good, and it's been, a great couple of days of beautiful weather and long hiking days. I think I'm going to chill out tonight, maybe put on a little TV, see if there's some Star Wars on,
Did you know what Yoda said when he saw himself in 4K? HDMI.